Are you missing the big moves? I'll show you how I target shoot my entries using a simple moving average buy zone. Did you know that most traders lose because they don't have a consistent way to enter? They don't lose because they picked the wrong stocks. They lose because they do not have a repeatable plan for how to enter the trade. Most traders enter based on FOMO. They see a stock race off and take off, and they say, "Oh, I got to buy it now." Just as it hits a new high, and then pow, the reaction just knocks them off their feet. Pros enter at design buy points. So, how would I design a trade on TQQ? Going back to this great setup, September 13th, 2024. Most people would see this particular setup that we see on TQQ as it's too late. They're just sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, it's too late." Or they would say, "Hey, I want to buy it now." And that may or may not be a great place to buy, but it's basically a breakout type of buy, breaking out of above the moving averages. But is that the best place to buy? That's the question one has to ask. We know that from a statistical standpoint, that prices tend to, after a strong move like this, they tend to retreat. But the big question many traders have is retreat to where? And that's where the moving averages come into play. I won't go through a lot on the moving averages, but once price action is above, the moving averages tend to work as support rather than resistance. So, how could I design a trade on TQQ and then let the prices come to me? Well, you can utilize basically any of the moving averages on a pullback. I like to use the 8-day moving average, and that is this blue line here. The green line above that is the 20, the 34 is the dotted line, and the 50-day is the golden line. I will provide in one of our next videos on moving average magic that defines and helps explain why the stack of the moving average is very important. But I use the 8-day moving average. I find it's a great target zone to start off my estimation of where prices may go. Okay, once I've had a breakout like we see here, I've got a green light to trade on TQQ. However, where do I want to trade it? I want to determine where that 8-day moving average will be. Not today, because I can go up here and find out that by just clicking on my chart and say, yeah, it's at 63.73. But I want to know where it is going to be approximately tomorrow, and that's the way I'll design my trade. I just follow a simple geometry and I look at where is my 8-day moving average today. And again, as I said, it was at, give me a number here, 83.73. But then I want to go, where was my 8-day moving average yesterday? And I sit there and I go, where was that at? It was at 82.83. I'm going to do the simple math and just basically subtract one from the other. I come up with a difference of 90 cents. The 90 cents, what do I do with that? I just add it to the 8-day moving average for today, which is 63.73, which puts me up to not exactly $64.63. $64.63. I take where my 8-day moving average will be tomorrow, 64.63. That's the estimate. And what I do is I basically give it a 1% cushion to the upside. So in other words, I want to be buying if prices are down at 64.63 or if they're up at 65.27. Now we call that a buy limit order, but under Thinkorswim platform, I can put that in it so as either a stop limit order, or there's another way we do with the AutoPilot trading where it's a backdoor type of order. But anyway, I want to pay no more than 65.27 for it. And what will the limit that I would have? So if it gaps down below the 64.63, I won't be filled on the order. So now I know where I want to get in. I can make that part of my conditional order. Okay, the next thing I do is now that I know where I want to enter, there's my buy zone. So that's where I will set the trap to target shoot to get into TQQ. I design the rest of my trade. My design stop will be 5%, and I'll carry a 2-to-1 reward risk ratio and put my design profit target number one at 10%. Then the rest of it is just put in a conditional order to buy. And if I'm filled in my zone here, that will trigger an OCO order that will trigger me out either at 5% loss or a 10% profit. So how the heck did this work on TQQ in this case? Okay, I like to lay in the stop loss, and there it is at 62.04. That's a 5% stop loss. There's my profit target up there at 71.85. So how did this trade work out? Over the next few days, what happened was price action went up and hit at the, what was my price target? Was 71.80, almost made it that day. And so drop it there. However, we did break out or hit that price target at 71.85 right there on the 24th of September. So that's basically the way we set up these trades. So as you see, as we set up these conditional orders, it's a really great way to do a fire and forget type of process because I can put this order in at the beginning of the week. And then if it's filled, great. If not, great, because it's achieving one thing. It's giving me a consistent way to get into a trade and then guaranteeing that I will get out of the trade. So by consistently using this process, I know that I have repeatable results and I can go back and say, measure that in the future. This is where consistency is born. This is a part that many traders miss. I don't stare at the screen all day waiting for a trigger. I set my conditional buy order and then I walk away. My entries, my stops, and targets are already placed. If I'm filled on that buy order, I am literally just like a target shooter or sniper up in a tree waiting for the deer to come along or whatever I'm going to be shooting at. And so I'm not just scattering my shots all over the place. I know exactly where I want to take action. So let's take a look at TQQ more currently to see if this type of setup continues to work. Let's check it out. Here's the chart of TQQ on the 23rd of April this year. We have just broken out, stayed below the 20-day moving average, but above the 8-day moving average. So that's one of my triggers to go ahead and look at a potential order. I go through the same process that I did with the previous one, where I basically estimate where's my 8-day moving average going to be tomorrow. That's where I want to try to buy the session. Now, a little caveat is that if price action does not come down into my zone here, then I just continue to move my zone up if my uptrend continues to move in that direction. So let's see what happened over the next few days with TQQQ. As we see here on the 24th, price actions did not get down into my zone that I was looking at to be able to buy closer to the 8-day moving average. My process now is to move to where the 8-day moving average is going to be tomorrow. Now, that's part of the trade management. That's part of what we have to do as traders. You basically, while you can set it and forget it, when there are times when you need to manage the trade, and this is one of those where as the moving average goes, I need to be adjusting my order. I do it normally after hours, and it helps me to be both patient and prepared. As you can see, 5 days later, price action finally came down, hit the 8-day moving average, and this triggered me into the zone where I was able to enter a position there on 4/30/2025. Now, what's happened since? Let's find out. Okay, after being filled on the 30th, look at the price action that's taken place on TQQ. Filling towards the 8 there, we've gone on to move up to a close today approximately 35% in a 12-day period. And yeah, 12-day, that's calendar day, and trading days or 15 calendar days. So do you get that type of a move every time? No, it doesn't happen every time, but it does happen all the time. And remember, I was taking profits at 10%, right? So how long was I in this trade? Here, and oh, darn, I'm out of it within 1 day. Okay, guys, it's pretty simple. You want to define your buy zone. Secondly, set up your trade. Where are you going to buy? Where are you going to stop out at? And what your profit target price is. Then you place your fire and forget order and you wait for the market to come to you. If this has helped you, hit the like button and hit the subscribe. Share this with another trader who's struggling in defining how to get into their particular trades. Hey, drop the word sniper down in the comments, and I'll make sure that I send you my swing trading rules on one page. Or, hey, if you want the rest of my triggers and my process, pick up my book, Trade Your Way to Freedom. And don't miss the next video in this series where I'm going to be talking about, do your moving averages stack up?